Hey guys, it's John from Album Review TV. I know it's been a little while since I did a review on here, and I want to say that I was gone for a little bit, like traveling, but also at the same time I felt a little bit burned out and I didn't just want to force out a review that just wasn't there. And fortunately, whenever I started writing this review, this one started flowing well and I got back into the swing of things. So reviews are going to start coming here, and of course all of my side channel videos. Make sure you subscribe to Beyond AR TV, and of course check out my vlog channel if you don't mind. I'm trying to get to 200 subscribers on there, so if you wouldn't mind giving a subscribe over there, you can see what's going on in my daily life. But let's go ahead and jump into Burials by AFI. This is their 9th studio album. I can't believe it that they've been around so long, that they've got 9 albums under their belt now. And speaking on this new album, Davey Havok, the lead singer, the leader of this band AFI, says the record is of silence and the burials that result from silence. It's of betrayal, cruelty, weakness, anxiety, panic, deep and slow, despair, injury, and loss. It's funny that he says that because those actually turn out to be song titles on this album, like A Deep, Slow, Panic, and Anxious. As a whole, I feel like this record is definitely a step up from their last album, Crash Love, that so many people hated, and I was definitely torn on it. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I liked singles like Medicate and especially Beautiful Thieves, but as a whole I was kind of divided on how I felt about that record, but I didn't think it was as awful as most people made it out to be. But here on Burials, I think they've definitely taken things a step backwards in a sense, but also mixed in some influences, some outside electronic influences on a few tracks. But I'm just glad that that wasn't a prominent element here on this album. They've made a rock album that at times has a lot of dark overtones to it, like I Hope You Suffer, The Sinking Night, very dark songs right there. Then you've got your more like emo style but upbeat musically tracks like 17 Crimes and Heart Stops. Heart Stops is a weird one for me. It sees AFI tackling a love song in almost a pop rock style approach. Something that I never really expected from this group. Does it work? In the words of Simon Cowell, it's gonna be a no from me. There definitely are tracks that are some of AFI's best to date. Honestly, I Hope You Suffer has turned into one of my favorite singles by AFI. That one right there, first listen, a lot of people were just very thrown off by it. I don't really understand why. That track definitely feels like something that would fit into AFI's discography perfectly. It was way darker of a song than I was expecting from the band, but at the same time I started really loving it the more and more I listened to it. It's just very passionate and angry, and I like that Davey is just really letting it all out here on this track. A mix of pianos and shuffled drum patterns fuel this track into becoming a powerhouse, especially once the angry chorus rolls around and fuses in some classic AFI guitars from Jade. 17 Crimes is the next single released from Burials, and it threw me kind of for a loop at first, and I'm not sure why, as now I see it as something that really does fit in on the album, and I like that it has a throwback feel to it. The first time I heard this track, I was in LA with my friend. We were on the highway, it was in August, and maybe it was just all the traffic surrounding me and I couldn't pay attention to it enough, but I didn't really enjoy it upon first listen. But I got back home about a week later and listened to it, watched the music video, and really started getting into this track. It's something that really screams emo rock to me, but at the same time I like it. It feels something like could have fit in more on like Sing the Sorrow or at least December Underground, that time in music. It reminds me of older times musically in a really good way. Davey shows us that he's still kind of the king of emo, if you will, and just brings in a powerhouse vocal performance, at least on the chorus especially, as he sings Let Us Love Like 17, I'm in Love with Poisoning. Top-notch bass work here on this track and creative guitar riffs really help this song stand out. I do enjoy a lot of tracks on this record, but there are some that just kind of fall in the middle of the road, if you will, for me. Rewind is one of those. It's an alternative jam that doesn't really dazzle at all to me. It doesn't really stand out. Anxious closes out this record, and it does benefit from a solid and punchy chorus, but it lacks something as a whole. No Resurrection is a track that feels like it's trying really hard to be nostalgic once again, but it turns into something that's much more generic and it fails to excite or really bring anything new to the table. Jade's guitar definitely still drives nicely on this track as always, but as a whole it's definitely missing a lot of elements that make a lot of these songs actually work. The Sinking Night is the opening track on this record, and even though it's only just over 2 minutes long, it's a very dark and powerful intro song that has turned into one of my overall favorites on this record. Davey Havok's vocals sound as good and earnest as ever opening up this record, and the track definitely leads perfectly into I Hope You Suffer there at the end. It's kind of something, it's ambient almost, and it kind of paints this dark portrait. A Deep Slow Panic has a really early 2000s alternative rock feel to it that musically reminds me of A Better Time once again, kind of like I was talking about with like 17 Crimes. I think this track, A Deep Slow Panic, will really become enjoyable to most fans with repeated listens. Then we get to things that are a little bit more experimental on the album, but I like it at the same time. The Conductor has a dark alternative dance feel to it, and it really stands out as an edgier track that showcases the band's willingness to experiment and try new things in a good way. Pounding synth lines contrast nicely with Jade's guitar. He does a splendid job on this track in particular. It really stands out to me. Havok once again steps up to the plate big time on vocals, as the lyrics seem to speak of a conductor who was formerly under another's control take power over someone else. Another one that gets a little bit more experimental, actually I shouldn't say a little bit, a lot more experimental. I think it draws a lot of influence from Jade and Davey's side project Black Audio. Wild is that track, and it experiments a whole lot. It goes electronic and wild, I guess you could say. Spacey synth mixed in with Jade's guitars to bring something that definitely shows off how big the band has been influenced by the side project and just electronic music in general. Blaring and energetic, this song makes for an intense listening experience that never fails to keep my attention. The instrumental at times almost reminds me just a little bit of one of my favorite electronic groups, the Glitch Mob. Definitely one of my favorite songs on this album. The Embrace takes things a bit darker once again and opens up with this metal style fuzzy guitar that plays lightly in the background with another guitar layering over that as it rolls into one of the bigger choruses of the album. The bass line on this track has a sinister feel to it, and the whole track is simply eerie and one of the greatest tracks on Burials. This may be the perfect gift, as Davey even said in the song. Then finally we get to Greater Than 84. It throws guitars back into the mix big time, rocking this track straight through the roof. The backing vocals during the chorus help out a whole lot, and the song just feels like a good way for Davey to kind of vent about his nightmares and his dreams, as he states that he's trapped between nightmares. Overall, I am really excited to see AFI back, and a lot of ways back to really solid form. 4 out of 5 from me. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below, and of course let me know what I should review next. I will hopefully be getting to Icy Star's new record and possibly even Pearl Jam's new record. Make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. And as always, Album Review TV, your home for music news and reviews.